The W is more than one player, Cheryl Reeve tweeted on May 3rd. It was early preseason and Caitlin Clark had been heavily featured on the WNBA social media channels. It just so happened that that night was also when the Minnesota Lynx were playing the Chicago Sky, which was the first W game for another rookie, Angel Reese. Somehow, the narrative around that tweet became that Reeve did not like CC, but the Lynx coach is clearing things up. In a recent appearance on Good Game with Sarah Spain, Reeve talks about how she was surprised at the W fanbase misconstruing her tweet as criticism directed at the Fever rookie. But she then explained, Indiana-Dallas being televised, I didn't care about that. I didn't care that we weren't being televised. Those are business decisions. I do care when I'm gonna protect my team. One, when you don't even mention the game. But then Reeve pointed out that while CC got the attention in that fan poster from the W, the Lynx vs. Sky game had another high-profile rookie. And by the way, you're not interested in the Minnesota Lynx. Angel Reese was playing her first WNBA game, right? So the fact that you don't even mention it, all I was doing was assisting our fans. Oh hey, don't forget we're playing, and here's where you can find it. Indeed, fans had been miffed about missing Reese in action because the preseason game was not being televised. A fan live-streamed the game on their phone with grainy quality instead, which ultimately received more than 2 million views, as Spain points out on the podcast. Nevertheless, Cheryl Reeve also refers to another incident that might have led some to believe that she was not pro-Caitlin Clark. Reeve had also photoshopped Nafisa Collier onto a poster promoting the W that was originally missing the Lynx forward. And so I photoshopped Fee in and I said, "Here fans, I've fixed it." She laughed, narrating the incident on Good Game with Sarah Spain. Some Caitlin Clark fans grabbed a hold of that to say that I was anti-Caitlin Clark, the Lynx HC says, but then she clarifies, I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan, not when we're playing against her, of course. But like I said, she's a future Hall of Famer. Everybody can see that. Another instance that could have led some to believe that Reeve was not a fan of CC could be leaving her off the Paris Olympics roster. But the Team USA coach had not been part of the panel that chose those players. And as she said on Sarah Spain's podcast, Reeve has long been supporting the Indiana Fever rookie. No one is a sure thing other than Caitlin Clark, Cheryl Reeve. This year's rookie class was one to behold, but when asked to choose between two rivals, Cheryl Reeve seemed slightly more in favor of Caitlin Clark. Talking to MinPost after the draft, the Lynx HC said, Angel certainly had a lot to offer. She's going to defend, she's going to rebound, she's going to get offensive rebounds. I think she's a great passer. She has some very strong qualities as a pro. But then, we just kind of looked at our situation. No one is a sure thing other than Caitlin Clark, like a sure thing. Time will tell. We all get really smart when we have the hindsight. Indeed, Clark has pulled away from Reese in the Rookie of the Year conversation and was even named the Roddy by the Associated Press. Reeve even commented on her impressive threes in a pre-game talk with the press last month, but clarified that pace and passing are what make the Indiana Fever guard great. While the WNBA is largely expected to pick her as the roadie, Caitlin Clark fans might need some more surety from Cheryl Reeve to believe her.
And when Angel Reese comes out and says, she ain't the only one everybody's watching, they're watching me too, they're watching others, a day later she gets ejected. I ask a simple question. I don't have an answer. I'm not pretending to have an answer. I'm not going to give you an answer. I'm going to ask you a simple question. If that's Caitlin Clark, does she get ejected from that game? I'm just asking. If it's Caitlin Clark, do you think that referee ejects her? You know better.
And maybe she embraces being the villain. But make no mistake about it, Caitlin Clark is the reason why. Everybody has an opinion on what happened in that game.
Angel Reese is getting really upset after being criticized by several WNBA experts. And honestly, who wouldn't be? It's tough to be called out, but when some of the top minds in the game are criticizing you, it really stings. But let's be real. It's all about actions and consequences. If you throw shade, you have to be ready for it to come back at you. These analysts aren't just random people trying to get attention. They really know the game.
I actually did. She's pissed off because they're not, she's like, it's not just about one player, it's about me too. And it's like, wait, time out. Nobody, I haven't even seen it yet. This is the after.
If they're going after Angel, it's not just because they have nothing better to do. And when someone like Angel tries to mess with the rising stars out of jealousy, things get bad quickly. Trust me, their critiques hit her so hard, she couldn't even keep it together at the press conference.
I just want to always just know, like, I'm still a human. All this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day, I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change.
Have you ever wondered why Angel Reese is targeting Caitlin Clark? Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark is the star of the WNBA, and she deserves it. She's not just another rookie, she's a highlight reel. Each game, she creates something special. Clark sinks threes from far away and makes unseen passes. She's on another level. Her stats? They're incredibly impressive, but it's more than that. She controls the game. The energy shifts when she plays. Her confidence is clear. There's no doubt in her game, just pure talent. When she plays, everyone notices. Fans are thrilled, analysts praise her, and she's seen as basketball's future. With every game, she's not just winning, she's redefining the game. That's why people like Stephen A. Smith confront Angel with the truth.
Caitlin Clark is already committed to $28 million in endorsement deals, at least. Look at the wave that she's created. Look at the profile that it has granted the WNBA. Look at the record ratings they produced because of her arrival.
Clark shines, but where's Angel Reese? She's trying, but Caitlin seems to be overshadowing her. Reese has talent, no question. Still, Caitlin is pulling ahead while Reese is struggling to keep up. Whenever Reese does well, Caitlin does even better. It's like Reese is running in place while Clark celebrates her win.
I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that. It's not just because of one person.
You can almost sense Reese's frustration. She knows she's good and has worked hard to get this far. But with Caitlin in the same rookie class, it's a tough act to follow. No matter how hard Reese tries, the attention keeps shifting back to Clark. Every time Reese does something impressive, Caitlin does something even more amazing, leaving everyone talking about her instead. It's like Reese is trying to be heard over a crowd cheering for Caitlin, but her voice is getting lost in the noise.
And people didn't notice the game, they're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese. Angel Reese has played a role in this, and she's a very good player. But there's nothing about her game that's really interesting that is going to translate to people who may not watch the WNBA.
Here we are with Angel Reese, who's found herself in a pretty tough spot this season. When she first started playing, there was a lot of hype surrounding her. People thought she might be the next big thing, maybe even someone who could challenge Caitlin Clark. But let's be real, competing with Caitlin is like trying to keep up with a speeding Ferrari on a bike. Every time Angel gets close, Clark speeds away, leaving her behind. The worst part is that it's not even close. Caitlin's incredibly fast, both on the court and in her rise to fame. Meanwhile, Angel is stuck playing catch-up, and it's not looking good for her. Of course, Angel's trying to put on a brave face for the cameras. She's being professional, giving compliments and pretending everything's fine. After their match on July 28, 2024, she even praised Caitlin in an interview, saying, "Yeah, she played really well." But let's not kid ourselves. You don't have to be a genius to see past that fake smile. Angel's frustrated, and being stuck in Clark's shadow has got to hurt. It's showing in more ways than one.
She disrespected Alexis and my girls. South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. Y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
Here's where things take a surprising turn. Angel has shifted her focus. Instead of improving to beat Clark, she's now embracing a bad girl image. It seems she's given up on winning against Clark. Now she aims to create drama for attention. I mean, come on, Angel, that's your strategy? It's like she's decided that if she can't win, she might as well try to disrupt the game.
And then she doesn't even celebrate with her teammates, so she's made it personal with Caitlin Clark. Then she's played off of that. Even Caitlin Clark getting knocked down in that game on Saturday, who's standing up applauding but Angel Reese?
Even when Caitlin Clark got knocked down during that Saturday game, guess who was standing up applauding? Angel. Then, in a mid-August 2024 interview with The Athletic, Angel dropped a bombshell, claiming that Caitlin Clark's soaring popularity has nothing to do with her basketball skills, but because of her race. According to Angel, fans love Clark because she's white, not because she's breaking records and dominating games. This comment grabbed everyone's attention, fans, analysts, you name it. But most people were left confused. I mean, really? Caitlyn's stats speak for themselves. Her points per game, her assists, her ability to rewrite the WNBA history books practically every week. It's tough to argue that her race is why she's blowing everyone away, but Angel is frustrated and searching for answers. Instead of focusing on how to step up her game, she's spinning this narrative that she's the underdog being overlooked. But does that story really hold up? Angel's trying to paint herself as the ignored one, but the reality is that Clark is winning fans because she's that good. Instead of accepting that Clark is on another level, Angel seems determined to go full-on villain. It's like she's leaned all the way into the antagonist role, hoping that stirring up drama will keep her in the spotlight. And now, let's talk about the one guy who's not afraid to set Angel straight, Stephen A. Smith. When it comes to keeping it real, Stephen A. never holds back. So when the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark drama blew up, you just knew Stephen A. was going to dive in with his signature no-nonsense approach. Reese was out here claiming Clark's popularity was all about race, but Stephen A.? Nope, he wasn't having it. With his classic sarcastic flair, he laid it out. Everyone watching knew exactly what he meant. Angel's issue wasn't about race, it was about Clark's jaw-dropping talent. End of story. Stephen A. dropped the mic on the whole thing. And the best part? He had the receipts to back it up. He didn't just talk. He brought the cold, hard facts. Caitlyn had broken the WNBA rookie record with a ridiculous 670 points by August 2024. Numbers like that speak louder than any drama Angel was trying to stir up.
Clark is the first rookie in WNBA history to have 40 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists in a 2-game span. The Fever have now won 3 in a row. The teams face off Sunday.
While Stephen A. sarcastically roasted Angel, Dan Patrick took a different approach. He ignored the drama and called Caitlin Clark an unstoppable force, likening her to a hurricane in the WNBA. And he was spot on. Caitlin averages 25.8 points per game, leading the WNBA in scoring and assists. She's a one-woman storm. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, she's barely holding onto her umbrella.
But I think Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlin Clark. She thinks she's, the reason why this is all happening here. Caitlin Clark was going to get eyeballs whether she played against Angel Reese in LSU or not.
Here's where Patrick really made his point clear. He wasn't just talking about the numbers. He was talking about how Clark played the game. According to Patrick, they weren't even close. Sure, he gave Angel some credit for her potential, trying to be kind. She didn't bring the same game-changing energy that Clark does. In other words, Reese might be good, but she's not in Clark's league, and that's gotta sting. Patrick highlighted a key moment that got everyone talking. On August 15th, 2024, at an Indiana Fever game, Clark shone. She scored 34 points and made 11 assists, leading her team to a big win against the Chicago Sky. Meanwhile, Reese struggled, scoring only 12 points and showing clear frustration. This scene perfectly captured their seasons. Clark was a star, while Reese was still searching for her rhythm.
WNBA has been around a couple of decades, and people didn't notice the game. They're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese.
I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times.
Angel Reese is having a big meltdown because of something harsh that happened, but it's really her own fault, and now she's facing the results. Meanwhile, the girl she's been talking about, Caitlin Clark, is busy setting records like it's nothing. This so-called rivalry between them is completely one-sided.
I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. No matter which way it goes, she should never be criticized for what she did. I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk in the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel. So like I said, I'm a big fan of hers.
Clark has been ignoring Angel's trash talk for a long time, but even Clark's patience has a limit. Believe me, that limit has already been reached.
And trust me, that line's been crossed already.
She wants excellence and she wants it now, and that's what makes her great.
If you're even remotely aware of the WNBA,
the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is currently the biggest story in the WNBA. It's hard to miss. Both players entered the league with high expectations. However, Caitlin Clark is starting to shine more than Angel Reese. Clark's impressive stats speak for themselves. Meanwhile, Reese is facing the tough challenges of being a rookie.
And maybe she embraces being the villain.
Caitlin Clark's rise to the top isn't just a lucky break. She's not just any player, she's a stats powerhouse. She's averaging 18 points per game, 8.1 assists, and an incredible 90.1% free throw accuracy. Who even does that? She's outplaying everyone, and it's not just about scoring. She's making smart plays, setting up teammates, and doing it all with precision. She's the kind of player that coaches and analysts are raving about.
But make no mistake about it, Caitlin Clark is the reason why everybody has an opinion on what happened in that game.
They're right. This girl spends more time in the gym than others do at home. She's always improving her skills, ensuring no one can catch her.
Caitlin Clark's the golden goose. She happens to be a terrific talent who's white.
Let's be clear, Angel Reese is not someone to underestimate. She's a powerhouse when it comes to rebounds, pulling down 12.9 per game like it's nothing. Dominating the paint is tough, but she's great at grabbing offensive boards, giving her team extra chances, and making life hard for the other team. The issue is her scoring. She's averaging 13.3 points per game, which is decent, but compared to Clark's scoring streak, Reese seems to be lagging behind. Her shooting percentage isn't record-breaking, and that's where Clark starts to pull ahead.
And that's where Clark starts to pull away.
Go after her, compete with her, get the better of her at every turn. Nobody's questioning that you can't go after her.
The numbers show Clark is beating Reese in nearly every category, except rebounds. The media is buzzing about this. Analysts, former players, and coaches agree. Caitlin Clark is currently exceptional. Stephen A. Smith is very clear. He highlights not just the stats, but also how Clark controls the game, evaluates plays, and boosts her teammates. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is still playing, but her impact isn't as significant, and it's noticeable.
Whether it's jealousy, envy, resentment, it's all justifiable because there were people that were pounding the pavement and going through so much to help elevate the WNBA's profile long before Caitlin Clark ever came along, and yet...
But here's where it gets serious. It's not just about the numbers, it's about handling pressure. Caitlin Clark is excelling every game. She's more focused, more effective, and just better overall. She's used all the rookie hype as motivation and is consistently proving her critics wrong.
Well, I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates.
Well, let's just say the pressure's starting to crack her a little.
Well, let's just say the pressure is starting to get to her a bit. Sure, she's still putting up decent numbers, but you can see her frustration growing. The constant comparisons to Clark and the heavy expectations are taking their toll. There have been several times on the court where her frustration has really shown, and it's more than just normal competitive intensity.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Well, the pressure is starting to get to her a bit. Even though she's still putting up good numbers, you can see her frustration building. The constant comparisons to Clark and the heavy expectations are taking their toll. There have been several times on the court where her frustration has really bubbled over, and it's more than just normal competitive intensity.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
We're talking full-blown fits when things don't go her way.
We're talking full-blown outbursts when things don't go her way. And that only adds to the idea that she's struggling to keep up with Clark's rapid rise. If you think Caitlin Clark's success is just luck, it's time to rethink. She doesn't just roll out of bed and play, she lives on the court. She puts in relentless hours with shooting drills and ball handling sessions, and she makes plays not just for herself, but for her whole team. That's where she outshines everyone else. Caitlin isn't just scoring points, she's a mastermind on offense, controlling the game while others are trying to catch up. Her 8.1 assists per game show she's always thinking ahead, reading defenses like she has cheat codes. And her scoring? It's off the charts. With a 41.4% shooting rate from the field, she's not just taking shots, she's making them. Add in 33% from three-point range, and you've got a player who can dominate from anywhere on the court.
Let's don't be posting up, but you know who they go to. 22 from the outside.
Here's where she truly blows people away. A 90.1% free throw rate. That's incredibly precise. When she's at the line, you might as well just add those points to the scoreboard because she's not missing. It's like she views every free throw as a personal challenge to prove that she's perfect.
Recovered by Gabby Marshall. Here comes Clark. How will she go for history? There it is!
Even the pros are running out of ways to praise her. Dan Patrick has called her one of the most efficient scorers he's ever seen.
Well, I think everybody's jealous of Caitlin Clark. I don't. But I do think they are out to prove a point. You're not coming in and dominating our game because we are grown women.
Stephen A. Smith isn't holding back either. He's saying she has the potential to be a generational talent. When big names like that are praising you, it's because you're doing something extraordinary. Caitlin's control of the game, her ability to keep opponents guessing, and her calm under pressure are things that some players twice her age still haven't mastered. Her basketball IQ is incredible. She's making quick decisions while defenders are still trying to catch up.
Look at the record ratings they've produced because of her arrival. Once upon a time, they were watching about the audience in Indiana for Indiana Fever games was at about 4,000. Now it's at about 16 to 17,000. The ratings for the WNBA draft was 2.446 million, which was the largest in WNBA history.
But it's not just the stats. Her game is versatile. She has shooting range, good vision, and calm under pressure. Moreover, she knows when to speed up or slow down and how to exploit defenses. Experts have taken notice. The comparisons are becoming clearer. Reese leads in rebounds with 12.9 per game. However, that's her only edge. Stephen A. Smith noted that Reese is too focused on rebounding. In contrast, Clark's overall game is better.
Do I think it was assault, as the Chicago Tribune said? No, it was not. It was a hard foul. It's wrong. You don't need it in the game. And there's a lot of things that came out of that. People bringing in race.
And then there are the not-so-subtle digs in interviews. Reese has made some snarky comments, clearly frustrated by the constant comparisons to Clark. After one game where Clark completely stole the spotlight, Reese couldn't resist making a remark about how some players get all the attention.
I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time.
It's not just what Reese is saying, but also how she's acting during games. Her body language isn't great. She's rolling her eyes and checking out when Clark makes big plays, and it's obvious to everyone. Even her teammates are reportedly worried, wondering if her competitiveness is being overshadowed by insecurity. Analysts are also speaking up, saying Reese is letting jealousy take over, which is never a good sign for an athlete who's supposed to be at the top of their game. The relationships I create here are my legacy. Caitlin Clark quite clearly announced back in Iowa just what she thought mattered the most to her. And now, as she continues to thrill the WNBA crowd with her record-breaking displays, she stands by her words. When the generational talent was drafted as the first overall pick this year, she was not the only one joining the league after shining for the Hawkeyes. Kate Martin was another Iowa alum who entered the big stage, joining the Las Vegas Aces. As their third encounter comes close, Clark is ready to host her former teammate just as nicely. In her recent media availability, the Fever guard talked about welcoming Kate Martin to Indianapolis. She said, "It's definitely pretty weird to us, like we were teammates for 4 years. We got very used to that and now going against." So then like you love it, you joke about it, but at the same time, it just takes some getting used to. I know a lot of our coaches will be here on the same night. Looks like a fun thing for all of them to be able to do too, and sharing that memory and that joy with us. But I'm just super proud of her and happy for her. The 22-year-old guard also hinted towards her former Iowa head coach, Lisa Bluter, making an attendance when Fever will lock horns with the Aces on Wednesday. Both of the WNBA rookies played 4 years together with Bluter at the helm and led the Hawkeyes to back-to-back NCAA finals. When the duo bid adieu to their alma mater, the 63-year-old also decided to step down from the coaching role. While Caitlin Clark has definitely been the talk of the town with her exceptional rookie season, her best friend Martin is yet to have a firm grip with aces. Nevertheless, she has always found her college best friend acknowledging her and their friendship. The friendship between the opponent rookies, back in May, the former college teammates faced for the very first time in W. While the excitement among enthusiasts was obvious, Clark only made the matchup even more interesting when she opened up on her bond with the Aces rookie. Kate is obviously one of my best friends, somebody that was with me all 4 years at Iowa. I was the person that kind of begged her to come back for her 6th year, said the Fever number 22. After taking a red shirt year and benefiting from the NCAA's COVID-19 eligibility extension, Martin announced in February 2023 that she would be returning for a 6th and final season with the Hawkeyes. She, along with Clark, led the team to the finals, but could not sweep the championship after falling to the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Caitlin isn't much of a defender either. 2/3 of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace. And for 2/3 of the year, Caitlin's three-point shooting ranked near the bottom of the league in percentage. I still get frustrated because she won't shoot enough in fourth quarters because she defers to her vets. Angel Reese is actually a poor defender. Angel's team has now fallen to 11-22, so she isn't having nearly the impact that Caitlin is having on her team. Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark, is saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan. The truth is, Angel's a poor shooter of the basketball. I don't know any other way to say it. She's just a poor shooter.
Skip didn't hold back when it came to discussing two of the WNBA's most talked about rookies, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Let's see how Skip absolutely destroyed these young stars.
Caitlin isn't much of a defender either, though she can and she will steal the basketball. She's 15th in the WNBA in steals.
First up, let's talk about Caitlin Clark. Now, we all know she's been making waves in the league, but Skip's not buying all the hype. He starts off by dropping this bomb. Caitlin isn't much of a defender either. Ouch. That's gotta hurt for all the Clark fans out there. But wait, there's more.
2/3 of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace, the likes of which I have never witnessed. It's almost like she was trying to turn the basketball over.
Skip doesn't stop there. He goes on to absolutely roast Clark's ball handling skills. According to Skip, 2/3 of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace. An all-time record? That's not the kind of history you want to be making in your rookie year, Caitlin.
Caitlin's three-point shooting ranked near the bottom of the league in percentage. Yet, you're right. The truth is...
But hold on to your seats, folks, because Skip's just warming up. He then takes aim at Clark's shooting, saying, for 2/3 of the year, Caitlin's three-point shooting ranked near the bottom of the league in percentage. Near the bottom of the league? That's not what you expect from someone who's supposed to be a sharpshooter.
I still get frustrated because she won't shoot enough in fourth quarters because she defers to her vets. She's got horrendous pressure on her.
And just when you think Skip's done with Clark, he delivers this final blow. I still get frustrated because she won't shoot enough in fourth quarters because she defers to her vets. Looks like Skip thinks Clark needs to step up and take charge in crunch time. No mercy from Bayless today. Now let's turn our attention to Angel Reese. If you thought Skip was harsh on Clark, wait till you hear what he had to say about Reese.
Angel Reese is actually a poor defender, Brittany.
Right out of the gate, Skip drops this bombshell. Angel Reese is actually a poor defender. Wow. For someone who's known for her physical presence on the court, that's a pretty damning assessment from Skip.
Angel's team has now fallen to 11-22, so she isn't having nearly the impact that Caitlin is having on her team.
But Skip's just getting started. He goes on to question Reese's impact on her team, stating, Angel's team has now fallen to 11-22, so she isn't having nearly the impact that Caitlin is having on her team. Ouch. Skip's basically saying Reese isn't living up to the hype and isn't making her team better. That's gotta sting.
Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark, is saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan or Ben Wallace was better than Kobe.
And if you thought that was harsh, wait till you hear this. Skip actually compares the idea of Reese being better than Clark to saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan. Talk about a brutal analogy. Skip's basically saying anyone who thinks Reese is better than Clark is out of their mind.
Angel's a poor shooter of the basketball. I don't know any other way to say it. She's just a poor shooter. She's now 38% from the floor, not from three. She's 2 of 12 from three. That's 17%.
But the knockout punch comes when Skip talks about Reese's shooting. He doesn't mince words here, folks. Skip straight up says, "The truth is and was a poor shooter of the basketball. I don't know any other way to say it. She's just a poor shooter." No sugarcoating there. Skip's calling it like he sees it, and he sees Reese as a liability on offense. Now you might be thinking, wow, Skip really went in on these two, and you'd be right. But here's where things get interesting. Despite all these criticisms, Skip actually ends up praising Clark quite a bit throughout the rest of the segment. He calls her a once-a-generation passer, and even suggests she could be pushing for MVP. So what's the deal? Is Skip playing both sides? Or is he just being brutally honest about both the strengths and weaknesses of these young stars? One thing's for sure. Skip Bayless knows how to stir up controversy. By pointing out these flaws in Clark and Reese's games, he's guaranteed to get people talking. And isn't that what sports media is all about? But let's take a step back for a moment. Are Skip's criticisms fair? Is he being too harsh on these rookies who are still finding their footing in the league? Or is this tough love exactly what they need to hear to improve their games? It's worth noting that both Clark and Reese have had incredible success in their college careers. They're adjusting to a new level of play, facing the best of the best night in and night out. Growing pains are to be expected, but in the high-stakes world of professional sports, you're only as good as your last game. Skip's comments raise some interesting questions about expectations in the WNBA. Are we putting too much pressure on these young stars to be perfect right out of the gate? Or is this level of scrutiny just part of being a high-profile athlete? One thing's for certain. Both Clark and Reese have shown flashes of brilliance in their rookie seasons. They've also both shown areas where they need to improve. That's the nature of the game. Even the greatest players have aspects of their game they need to work on. So, what do you think? Did Skip Bayless go too far in his criticisms? Or is he just doing his job by providing honest, unfiltered analysis? Are Clark and Reese getting a raw deal, or do they need to step up their games? Whatever your opinion, one thing's for sure. The WNBA is more exciting than ever with young talents like Clark and Reese in the league. And as long as there are players making waves, you can bet Skip Bayless will be there with his hot takes, ready to stir the pot and keep us all talking.